Hi, welcome to Ghost Talk. This is Harold St. John, founder of Toledo Ghost Hunter Society. I'm with our case manager and my partner, Becky McLennan.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Becky. How are you?
I have a really bad cold right now, so if I have to excuse myself for coughing or sneezing or blowing my nose, I apologize.
I'm glad that you showed up. Butch couldn't make it tonight. We're going to do this on our own, and you guys know how low tech I am. Becky's got the laptop in front of her instead of usually being in front of her cameraman. Yeah. So Becky's going to try to keep updating it for she can read your comments for anybody who wants to pipe in. So a great show tonight. I think a great topic, black-eyed children.
Yes.
You and I have done the black-eyed children show before here on Ghost Talk, and we had put it up on uploaded it to YouTube, and it's gotten tons of hits. Would be one reason why we're doing the show on black-eyed children. But the other one is for our Ghost Hunting 101 class. We had asked the class the other night, what topic of all the types of hauntings that we have been through, what topic of interest do you want us to do? And the class unanimously voted black-eyed children again. So, which
I don't know a lot about and have had no experience with.
Well, neither one of us have ever had a black-eyed child encounter.
Well, right.
You know? I mean, of all the years of investigating, we've taken on intelligent hauntings, residual hauntings, poltergeist type of activity. Everything that you could imagine. As I was telling the class last week, doppelgangers was another rare type of haunting. We've never encountered anything like that.
I don't really know if I believe in doppelgangers.
No, I know it's hard. But neither one of us have encountered black-eyed children. Mm-hmm. Here's the funny thing. In one of our previous classes, Dan, who's a good friend of ours, him and his wife Carmen have helped us on several projects that we were working on. Dan has he thinks he encountered a black-eyed child, and you're going to share that story with us, right?
Okay.
and I want to share one story. I may have to go to my notes to read a little bit, but back in 1996, one of the very first big cases of black-eyed children hit the internet and that television as well. It involved Brian Bethel, who experienced two children. It was kind of a scary encounter that he had. So we'll get into the show, and I know you're going to be looking away from the camera as much as I am to follow what might be going on. So listen, feel free to jump in anytime you want, and if you have a question or a comment, or if you just want to say hi, Becky will try to answer them the best that she can, and me as well. It's February now. Valentine's Day is upon us. Opening day for pitchers and catchers starts Tuesday for the Detroit Tigers, so spring is right around the corner. We've had a really busy week, and I want to say a couple things, and then I'll leave the rest of it for the end of the show, like you had asked me to do. But Ghost Hunting 101 is continued this week with your class, or with Michelle's. Michelle did a great job, and I'm going to pick up some notes, so it may look a little bit awkward as I'm doing it, but I want to remember to say these things. Michelle had discussed cleansings, blessings, followed by personal protection. These things that are really important during and after, before, during, and after an investigation. You're coming up this week. Tell us what you're going to be talking about. Becky is going to be our next guest speaker at Ghost Hunting 101 this coming Thursday.
I'm going to touch a little bit on case management. I kind of planned the class around what kind of group of students we have, and none of them they're all very interested in paranormal and very interested in learning about it, but none of them really seem to be wanting to form their own group. So the case management, I'll stress a little less, but connecting the steps to an investigation, and some do's and don'ts and procedures to follow.
You're going to talk about first contact, the interviews, the research, right, the investigation itself, and how the importance of analyzing properly, debunking, and documented evidence as well, right?
Well, yeah.
And
we're also going to show some documented evidence to make it a little bit fun.
Right. In layman terms, to keep it simple,
right,
you're going to share some of our cases with our class. So once again, if anybody from Ghost Hunting 101 is out there, hi and welcome to Ghost Talk. Okay, talking about Ghost Hunting 101. Ghost Hunting 102 is going to start again in April. This is really a cool class. It's a fun class. For anybody that might be interested in Ghost Hunting 102, you can get a hold of Owens Community College at owensworks.com. I have a phone number for them as well. Everybody always says, "Hey, you forgot the phone number," so I kind of want to share it again. But maybe I didn't write it down. Yeah, I do. 567-661-7357. And if you want to get a hold of Owens, if you're, you know what's happened this week. As we were preparing for class, and I think class number 2 was a pretty good hit. I think Michelle did a great job. And Butch was back with us for that particular class, which was awesome.
Butch is watching us now.
Yeah, I hope so.
Butch and everybody else that's watching.
It was nice to have Butch back with us. Butch, as everybody knows, our friends and family. Butch has had some family issues himself. So Butch, you come back for last week's class, and I have to be honest. When Butch is gone, I feel like part of me is gone. And I had said that to Butch the other night. I must be getting older because I get somewhat sentimental, but Butch knows how much he means to me. And just having him standing beside me, going over some of the equipment and the types of haunting. And, at any time when I'm doing a lecture or presentation or instructing in class, I can turn to Butch as my sidekick and say, "Hey, Butch, would you explain this for me?" And he does such a great job. So,
yeah, and he's like a rock.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely our rock. So, Butch, if you are watching, hello, buddy. How are you? Wish you could have been here. Listen. Here's the whole thing. The class is working hard, and then I got some other things we'll talk about after the show. We'll get right into Black-Eyed Children, but I have to say this because it's important. I talked to Chad and Heather the other day. I don't know for any people. I'm sure everybody knows who they are. It's a small paranormal community. About the field trip for the Ghost Hunting 101 class. The class unanimously voted that they wanted to go back to the Toledo Yacht Club again. And Chad and Heather have been so gracious of hosts to have us for one of our past classes.
Yeah,
so
I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing that we
Chad and Heather are on board with what we're trying to do. And so is the Toledo Yacht Club. I can't thank the Toledo Yacht Club and Chad and Heather from Erie Shores Paranormal enough for hosting our field trip again. We're really excited. I hope there's something we can do to give back to them. And they're busy. I mean, we're going to go in there to do our class field trip. They got so many other things going on.
It's a very generous gesture. So
sure.
We appreciate it.
I think we owe this much to Chad, and then we'll get right into our show. Chad is a very gracious and very humble man. We were talking about, so all he wants to do is help us teach and educate and foster, promote the paranormal. He never asks for anything in return. Him and Heather, neither one of them ever do. And the Yacht Club hasn't really asked for anything in return either. They've all been just wonderful to us. But I may read a little bit. This is important. If anybody, Chad and Heather, they're going to host this. It's the Midwest Bear Fest. It's coming up April 7th at 10 a.m. right there at the Haunted Toledo Yacht Club. They're looking for sponsors. I know that there's a lot of people out there in the paranormal community that are probably going to attend this, but even for those who can't, if they want to be a sponsor, Chad did not tell me any of this. I'm doing this on my own. But with a sponsorship, you get your name notice, you join them as a partner, they'll put your name on an official event t-shirt, on all social media website. If you're a paranormal team or group or organization or business, they'll advertise you as an official sponsor. I think that's wonderful. If for anybody that's interested in sponsoring the Midwest Bear Fest, that Chad and Heather and Erie Shores are doing. For ticket information, www.erieshoresparanormal.com. Okay, I said it. I hope I didn't embarrass Chad or Heather or the Yacht Club, but I want to be able to give back to them as well. I don't know how we're ever going to be able to repay them for what they've done for us, the Ghost Hunting 101. So that's enough about that. I have some other things to talk about. We'll talk about them later. So what do you know about Black-Eyed Children?
Well, I mean, what you read on the internet. But can you believe everything you read on the internet? There's not a lot of evidence. I mean, oh wait, there's no evidence. There are just people's reports. Now, you were talking about the first really made, that wasn't the first one, because there are other earlier ones on record, but they were not generally known about. The one that came out on the internet.
Right.
Was
well, it was more than the internet. This particular story, I had seen, I believe it was Monster Quest or one of those type shows. Believe it or not, this story I did not find on the internet right away. I had saw a program on this where they actually interviewed this Brian Bethel, and then later I had searched for more of the story, and then of course the internet was flooded with his names and more to the story. And it's like anything else. It's like an urban legend. It's changed and evolved a little bit even itself. So I want to.
Well, tell me about that first. What happened?
Okay, well, I'm going to hold some notes.
People don't know what a black-eyed child is. Tell me what his experience was.
Brian Bethel, he's answered thousands of questions since then. So apparently he's jumped on board with us and accepted the fact that this happened. And I think there's ways to contact him now, but he was an internet blogger and a journalist who claims that his first black eye encounter was real, and it happened in 1996 in Abilene, Texas. It took place in the summer of 1996. He had gone down to I don't know if I can say the name or not. I guess I can. It was the former site of the Camelot Communications, which eventually later became a bank. Either way, he was making a deposit. He was
paying his internet bill.
Right. So he had pulled up, and next door to it was a theater, and I won't say the names of the theater either. I don't know if we should. Anyways, there was the light, or the limelight of the theater. He was using it as he was sitting in the front seat of his car, filling out his check. And then all of a sudden, there was a knock on his driver's side window. When he looked up, there was two boys somewhere between the ages of 9 and 12 years old, and they were dressed in hooded pullovers. They stood just outside of his window. So Brian had cracked the window a little bit. He didn't roll it down. He had thought maybe the boys were going to be asking for money or something like that to get into the picture show that was playing at the theater right there. But he was automatically gripped by an incomprehensible fear. How did he say it? He was wrecked with fear, with mixed with paranoia. It was just overwhelming fear at the time, but he didn't have any idea why. A conversation ensued between him and the boys, and the older boy was standing up front. The 12-year-old and the younger redheaded kid with the hood on was standing somewhat in the background. Anyways, he had, when he came out with the story, he called the older boy the spokesman, and I don't know what that means, but
he was the one speaking for the two boys.
Right, and the boy had his head down where he wasn't looking directly at him, and he had asked Brian. He said, "Could you give us a ride?" And how did he put this? A irrational fear continued and grew, but he had no reason to be frightened by the two boys. But he was terribly frightened. They had a brief, small conversation, and he was thinking about it. What did he want? Where did he need to ride? So Brian had asked him, ride to where? And he said he needed a ride home to get money for the picture show. And then Brian had thought, well, the movie's already half an hour into it. By the time he took him there and got back, the picture show would be over. So it didn't make any sense to him. I shouldn't drink coffee while I'm telling this. So he kept looking at it, and all the while the boy kept saying things like, it won't take long. We're just two little kids. And then he said, we don't have a gun or anything, which Brian thought was pretty weird. That's pretty scary, little kids, and we don't have a gun or anything. I'm flipping through my notes. So eventually, as Brian began to panic even more, the boy became angered that Brian wasn't letting him in.
So when did he notice the black eye?
Well, eventually, after the boy was a bit angry and kept asking and kept making excuses why he should get in the car, he looked up and stared at Brian right in the eyes. And Brian, the way he had remembered it was coal black eyes. There was no whites. The eyes of an alien, maybe, or these kind of eyes.
Creepy.
Yeah, it is kind of creepy. Um,
So the
What-
common thread between these kids is they approach you in some out of the way place where you're alone, and then oftentimes at night, and they can be dressed, they're quite often teenagers, they can be dressed like everybody else, but a lot of times you hear about one or more of them wearing hoodies.
when Brian
Their
would,
eyes are solid
Right.
black, and they can either be cajoling or threatening, depending on how things are going.
well, once the boys looked up at Brian, I mean, he was already suffering from panic and anxiety. But once the boy looked up at him and he seen his eyes, he went into a full-blown terror. He had grabbed his gear shift and he had put it in gear, and he was trying to back away, and the older boy had actually grabbed the door handle of the car. Just let us in. We can't, how do you put it? We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Just let us in. By then, Brian was in a full-blown panic. He had pulled away, and as he was pulling away, he looked in his rearview mirror. This was just a split second later, and the boys were gone. They were nowhere to be seen. There was nowhere they could have run and hid that fast.
Which also seems to be another common thing in the stories is they have to be let in.
Well, that's the most common. They what was the old saying? Do not let them in. They'll work angles. They'll find different ways to work you. I told you of the one story, which I'm not going to share tonight, but of the lady that was home alone watching TV, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. She lived out in the middle of nowhere, and there was a knock on the door.
And if I was 11 o'clock at night, lived in the middle of nowhere, I wouldn't answer the
Well,
door. I'd be peeking out a window.
That's what she did as well.
Yeah.
She did the same thing. Her dog began to growl. Apparently, she had a dog that was very docile. The dog's hair was standing on its back. It was growling uncontrollably, and she had peered out the window and she saw the two boys. And apparently, she was trying to communicate with them with the door open to crack at that point. And the same thing, we need a ride. Can we use your phone? Just let us in. Well, she had turned. She was no way going to open up the door, but when she had turned to make sure her dog was there for protection, the dog was gone. Once that encounter entered, she never let the kids in. She was in a panic as well. And then, of course, shut and locked the door. And she actually went in and called her husband at work, and then her neighbor, for her neighbor to immediately come over. While she was on the phone, right after she had called the neighbor to please come over and told him what was going on, she found her dog upstairs hid, like in a closet or something. Apparently, it was like a big German Shepherd, where the dog was even petrified. So we don't know what could happen because she didn't let them in.
Right. What do they want? Do they want to,
steal your soul? I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. Consume you, take your soul,
Well, here's
or do they bring on bad luck, bad juju? Are you going to have what's going to happen?
Here's my next question for everybody. First of all, is there anybody that ever encountered a black-eyed child? And let's go one step further. Have you ever let them in? And what happens after that? What's going on? Is anybody communicating?
Well, somebody's on. Yeah, we did a case in Temperance, if you remember.
Yes.
People are saying hello and keep up the great work.
What did they say about the case from Temperance? Was that with the
That's
banshee?
one of us. I'm not sure if it might be Butch on there or Michelle.
Oh, we don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I can't say anything about this Brian Bethel's experience. I can't prove it or disprove it, or I'm not even going to make fun of it or say it's a hoax. But since that came out, there have been a lot more of them. And everybody loves a great story. You know what I mean? And a good scary story. Everybody likes to be scared.
Well,
Not everybody, but a lot of people.
You know what I find
scared.
amazing about this? You just said it too. Once Brian's story broke and was made public, it's like a lot of other stories. It's not like to jump the bandwagon, but isn't it amazing to you as it is to me that once that story broke out, all these tons of cases came forward
Right.
of all these people that encountered us. I wonder what was keeping them. Probably the same thing that keeps most people on any regular investigation we do. The fear of being ridiculed, the fear of, there's a feeling like you're crazy. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people have activity going on and don't record.
And also, viral marketing is in play everywhere. I was looking that when the black-eyed children fever hit the internet, it was also coincided with a 2-minute video episode of Weekly Strange, which is like kind of a fake thing. Would be strange being entertainment section of the MSN website, and also at the same coincide with the release of Black-Eyed Kids, an urban legend-based horror film. According to to Snopes.com, the brief video looks like an amateur hour version of Unsolved Mysteries, which details the phenomenon and name drops a handful of conspiracy cryptology websites. But it gets people thinking about it. And when you are thinking about something, like I was starting to say about everybody likes to hear a scary story. What's interesting is an interesting, scary story. Of course, people hear about it, they're going to start Googling it. But here's the thing, neurologically speaking, our brain processes things that happen to us for a reason. I mean, everything, like all of the things that helps us process names and places and actions also is in there processing other things. You know what I mean? And so then you know about this story, and your brain is primed for something like that to happen. Say you are approached by these kids, and now you know about the story. You're approached by these two hooded teenagers in the grocery store parking lot,
which could be a bit scary for older people to be.
Okay, and maybe you can see the whites of their eyes, but what you see are these big dilated pupils, like maybe they're on drugs, or even, epinephrine will do that, or the stuff decongestants will do that. Ecstasy, amphetamines. You see those big giant pupils, but you're not seeing the white of your eyes because your brain is now processing, black eyes, and it's not even seeing the whites of the pupils, even though they're there. And you freak yourself out. Next thing you're posting, you saw a black-eyed child. Because you were primed to see that.
But can I stop you there?
Yeah, can I give another example?
No, you're too skeptical.
Of priming?
You're too skeptical. I like a good ghost story. You're constantly debunking and recreating and finding ulterior reasons for something. Listen. Mm-hmm. Becky and I can have a difference of opinion. Black-eyed children are real. Watch out for them every day of the week. Eventually you are going to have an encounter with black-eyed. That's just how popular they are.
Can I give you an example of priming that you can relate to?
Very, very quickly, because I want to stick with the scary stories.
Okay, listen. An example of priming that all you ghost hunters can relate to. You have an EVP, or you have a recording. And in it, you can hear a darker note under there, but you can't really tell what it says. You play it for somebody, they can't tell what it says either. You play that same EVP or possible EVP or weird noise, and you tell them it's a dark voice saying get out. Guess what they hear? 9 times out of 10, they hear get out.
Are you saying the EVP I captured last week wasn't real?
No, you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to relate that to. We caught a really good EVP last week. And Harold had told me what it said. And even though you can clearly hear it talking, my brain could have just processed what he said because somebody else listened to the same EVP and said something different, changed a couple words, and I heard it. So which one? And now I go back to the headphones. I listened to it 5,000 times because I feel like I primed myself. Never give your group the EVP. Say, I think I caught an EVP at 39 minutes, 4 seconds. Listen to it. Everybody get together. Tell me what you think. And you probably have three different answers.
Okay, well, party pooping. The bottom line is I captured an EVP.
Yes, you did.
And I haven't done that.
A good one too. I say one of two. Very closely related.
To me, it doesn't matter what it says. Somebody from the other side, a disembodied voice was speaking to me. At that point, I don't really care what it said.
But as far as in your brain goes, the whole priming thing is like activated 100 times more when you're in a state of unease, a state of fear. It's already dark. You're already a little bit more leery. You know what I mean?
Could be.
And it amplifies those, things that trigger
let's go a little bit further. Dan from Go Sunny 101.
Everybody says they're terrified.
Right. Go Sunny 101 and 102. Dan, a great student, helps us out from time to time. Him and his wife Carmen both do running cameras and helping us do some investigations. He had shared a story with us, and he said it was okay for you to tell it. What happened to Dan? I know he said it was. I think he said in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, down at Promenade Park, partying in the park. What happened?
Well, there's a tunnel to some parking area or something. They were hanging out and they were doing a little bit of exploring, and they were down there talking, and some kid, and he also coincidentally was wearing a hoodie.
Right, he was about 12 years old.
He peered around, no, I think he was a teenager, he was about their age. He peered around this dumpster and just stared at him. And he realized the kid's eyes looked completely black. Now, this was before he knew about black-eyed children. I don't think anybody had really talked about it much back then, or it really had any heard of it.
But Danny had
it stuck with him later when he did hear about these. Like, well, wait, that is really weird because I might have seen one.
Well, go back to the time it happened. Didn't Dan say he was with several buddies at the same time?
Right.
And they all witnessed the same thing?
Right. But here's the thing. Whoever it was didn't approach him, maybe because they were a group.
Well, what happened?
It could have just been some drugged out kid hanging out behind a dumpster.
Well, if I remember the story, didn't Dan turn and talk to his buddies again or something? And then they turned back and this kid was suddenly gone?
Yeah, and he was like down at the end of the tunnel on a skateboard.
He
got quite a distance away on a skateboard when they saw him, and just like that.
So that would be the hooded skateboard black-eyed child.
Right.
Dan believes it to be. I mean, Dan knows what he saw.
He believes it's possible that's what he saw.
That's what it was. He knows what he saw.
Yeah. He's confident.
Yeah, he's confident in what he encountered.
Right.
He's confident what his buddies encountered.
Right.
He just at that time didn't know, and nobody did what a black-eyed child was. I mean, Dan's story comes from 1991, 92. I mean, Brian's story didn't come out till 96. So.
Well, when somebody is looking at you all creepy like that, you would be kind of like.
But here's another funny thing, which you said. Isn't it funny? Dan is. I've often said this to you. I really, really like Dan. He's a really good guy. He's a really good paranormal investigator, and he's very intelligent. Even he has never come forward with that story to anybody but Carmen, I don't think, until we had brought it up.
Dan is saying the one that approached my friends and I scared us but didn't say anything. It felt like he was shooing us off maybe to keep us from getting into trouble because we were somewhere where we didn't belong.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, Becky and I weren't going to bring up that you were, somewhere where you probably shouldn't have been. We just going to.
Well, they weren't doing it.
We had no documented evidence of that, damn it, that you were somewhere you shouldn't have been. But but Dan is even admitting that. I mean, come on, Dan, he's with his buddies. They're a bunch of teenagers.
Well, maybe
they're immortal.
If there are black-eyed children, are they always harbingers of doom, or maybe are they like warning you of something?
Well, do you have any other stories of black-eyed children?
Well, no. Well, I mean, I can tell you that you heard about Brian Bethel's story.
Well, he's probably the most popular.
In 96, and that became really popular. But there were other documented cases that nobody knew about.
Prior to or after the fact?
Prior to. There was a guy that went searching for the truth about these black-eyed kids.
That was before the Brian Bethel case?
Yeah, and you know what? There's another point I was reading about. What if somebody just wears, if I was 17 and I had money for black contacts, maybe I would do that because I had that kind of ornery personality, and I definitely would try to freak out certain.
Well, that would make more sense probably right the Halloween.
Well, sure, they're expensive,
not in the middle of
and you can get them online.
Well, here's another thing. Look at Dan's story even closer. Dan said they were at Party in the Park. It was the middle of summer. It was probably 80 or 90 degrees, and yet this kid was wearing a hoodie. He wore a hooded sweatshirt. I mean, first.
Maybe they're trying to
I know, but the first thing you would think of is why is he in shorts and a t-shirt? Why is this?
Yeah, that's true.
Why is he wearing jeans, long pants, and why is he wearing a hooded sweatshirt?
Well,
he's not dressed.
He was skateboarding, and he didn't want to scrape himself all up.
Well, I'm just saying that to me that would seem odd in itself.
That's
so
definitely.
I mean, that would catch my attention.
There was a a case dating back to 1974 in France. 5 small figures in a courtyard near a house, all huddled together. Another one was tracing its hands along the home. These were super creepy, super creepy kids.
Well, what happened there? With trying to
The last
get into a
figure
house?
stood facing these guys. They rolled down the passenger window to get a better look. His blood ran cold when he faced the being. The appearance of the 5 characters was as strange as their behavior, all just over 4 feet tall, dressed alike with long garments that almost reached the ground. They were not decorated or not dressed in modern garments. Because 1974, they were running around in
But isn't it funny?
dresses.
Most of the cases that we hear about, they were looking for a way either into your home.
But their eyes were enormous, solid black hemispheres.
But don't you think it's strange? They're trying to get in your home. They're trying to get in your car. They're seeking permission. I guess the bottom line is, you must give them permission to come in. But still, my biggest question is, I mean, obviously, is anybody coming forward and look at the computer? Is anybody coming forward with a story back?
No.
Okay. Well, the other question is, not only have you encountered a black-eyed child, more importantly, have you let it in? I want to meet somebody or talk to somebody that believes what they had was a black-eyed child encountered, and either accidentally or mistakenly or let them in what happened.
Well, the guys in France, the children were like gesturing them over to come here, get out of the car and come to us. And you're like, bah, and they just took off in their car. Well, they were telling this newspaper guy who 8 months later, and he went back and he found a resident witness who said, yeah, I saw these weird little kids hanging out in the yard. So whoever or whatever they were, their description matched what the 2 guys in the car told them. Is that proof that somebody saw some creepy little kids? They could have just been creepy little kids,
Yep.
But somebody also witnessed them, and without prompting or priming, gave the same description.
Let's put this challenge out. If you're watching now or you watch this show later, make sure there's nobody we should be saying hi to or hello to.
Yeah, hi Jesse and Jeff and Ray and Doris and Lisa and Bruce.
Lisa and Bruce, they're
Black Swamp Radio is watching us.
Tramp is watching us. Lisa and Bruce is from an old case that we did several years ago. Here's my challenge. Not so much a challenge, but here's what I want to put out there. If anybody is comfortable enough to come forward and tell us about a black-eyed child encountered, we'll keep it private if you wish. We'll talk about it publicly if you want, and what you did about it. And I want to know more about the experience. How you felt, what exactly happened. At what point did you know that this was no longer normal? It was more from the paranormal realm or the abnormal realm, to say the least.
This is not an invitation to story time.
No, but I do want to hear these cases. It's just one of those things that intrigues me. It's years ago, I had an interest in Bigfoot, and boy, every time you bring up Bigfoot, just we're flooded, inundated with stories of Bigfoot encounters, and yet black-eyed children seems to be a real phenomenon to me, and a very scary one. I'm intrigued by it, to say the least, and yet nobody wants to come forward with it. It's no longer taboo. I don't think. I think it. If these things exist, they have to be out there. I'm not saying just outside our door, for God's sakes, but are they in the neighborhood? What are they here for? I have a much bigger question. What do they want? Are they alien based? Are they really paranormal? What type of phenomenon is this? And why do they come to us? What are they seeking? And the scarier question is, once again, is if we let them in, what happens? What do you think they want to be let in for? A cup of tea, or something much darker?
Inhabit your body.
There's one thing's for sure about black-eyed children, it opens up a door to 1,000 other questions, unanswered questions, to say the least. I think we're going to know more about these things with the more encounters that happen. I think we're still in the very early stages of black-eyed children.
You can have 1 million encounters. There are thousands of encounters out there. There's no evidence. I mean, so I put this in the same file that I do Bigfoot. You know, I may be skeptical, but I'm not entirely closed-minded. I try to be open-minded, so I don't really believe it's a real thing.
Oh no,
if somebody came with some evidence or some proof of something, I mean, and even then, how would you prove it? You know, with all the ways that people can trick photography and content. I find it just really.
Oh, Bigfoot exists. Bigfoot is real. I mean, we don't need to discuss. There's no longer a debate in this zone. Bigfoot is real. We had your grandson Harry over yesterday for the afternoon with the other
and
kids.
You're trying to make him believe in Bigfoot.
And Harry watched a short Bigfoot show, and I turned to Harry. Listen, the children don't lie. Children don't lie. I said, Harry, does Bigfoot exist? And he looked at me and says, yes.
How does he even know who Bigfoot is?
I showed him. He says, we need a gun. We have to shoot him. So not only does Harry believe in Bigfoot, he's seeking
He's
evidence.
growing up to be a Bigfoot hunter.
He's seeking Bigfoot evidence. So
okay.
I don't think with the next time they come over, I don't believe I'm going to show Harry videos of black-eyed children.
No.
Or maybe Jesse will, and then he'll have enough of me. But Harry's got it. I like the whole Bigfoot theory. Black-eyed children's got a much darker.
Well, yeah. If one were to be real, I guess I'd prefer it with Bigfoot.
Well, let me ask you this.
If there really were black-eyed children, that would be like way too.
Let me ask you this, and be serious for a minute. Say you were on your way to work, and at this time of year you leave for work and it's dark, and you come home and it's dark. Mm-hmm. And say you want to stop by the bank and deposit your check, or you were stopping at the store for something alone in your car at an odd hour of the evening, and two children approached your car, and you didn't see them. You were looking down, you were doing something, and all of a sudden they were right outside your window, knocking on your window.
Good. Well, because it would startle you.
I mean, what would your reaction be to this?
I don't know. Are they selling candy bars or Girl Scout cookies?
No, would be
my first thought. Why are these two looking?
Oh, they got hoodies on. They want in.
I don't know. I guess I
lady,
would crack the
give us
windows
a ride.
can you children lower your hoods so I can see your eyes? Now I have a good look at your eyes.
Do you know?
Make sure I'm not just seeing what my mind wants me to see, because I've been watching these shows and reading these articles trying to research black-eyed children.
Yeah. I hope I don't ever encounter one. I mean, I kind of want to. It's like anything else. I can remember times.
You're not allowed to have an encounter with black-eyed children. That's creepy. That's especially not here.
Well, that kind of takes the fun out of everything.
Yeah, I know. Maybe
if I'm only allowed one strange encounter, I guess it would be Bigfoot. So look at her thing to see if anybody's got any questions. If not, we're gonna have to show up early tonight. What's so funny?
Jesse says, "No, you're not showing them black-eyed children." No, we're not, Jessica. None of this paranormal stuff will ever cross their path.
No, not at all. Anyways, a couple other things. If you've had an encounter with black-eyed children, come forward. Post it on the Facebook page on our Toledo Ghost Hunter Society in the next couple of days. If you want to keep it private, message us. I don't have any answers for you, really.
Yeah, this is a tough subject. I mean, how can we teach you anything about it when all we can sit here is tell you stories that people have heard and give you our own theories? That's all that's out there.
Yeah, we'll get through it together. We're going to be back again next week with Ghost Talk. I'm hoping Butch Leon will be here with me to do our next Ghost Talk show. I want to go back to is there anything you want to say before I have some?
But you know what? This whole black-eyed children as an urban legend could also be traced back to early Japan, where they believed in a demon of a girl with totally black eyes. And that could have just been paid forward into, people talking about it, and it grew into something else. Maybe a lot of urban legends start out as one thing that maybe somebody heard a really long time ago, and it's kind of like the phone game, and it gets passed forward, and it's changed a little bit differently. Another thing, another theory is that an Urfa man discovered a statue a long time ago that they painstakingly, deliberately carved out these big, huge obsidian eyes. So these big, giant black eyes. And was that a start of some something cultural that we don't know about now that was passed along and kind of filtered around. And I don't know where these things start. I'm just still pulling things out of the air now.
The spookier the story, the better for me. I like the two children, the hooded hoodies.
Well, don't you think a lot of urban legends have, maybe started somewhere else, and then an idea took root and it got, refreshed?
Not when it comes to Bigfoot, black-eyed children.
Okay.
All right, we're going to wrap up the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your continued support. I want to start with somebody now.
Jessica says, "Mom, you would roll your window down and stick your head out to be possessed by children. I would peel out of there and never think twice." And Shelley Smother says, "The scary thing to me is why do they have to have permission to come in your door?"
Well, Shelley.
Oh, and Carmen Dan are asking, could it be a form of jaundice? No, because your eyes, the sclera, the whites of your eyes would be yellow. They would not be black.
Those are great questions. And Shelley, to answer yours, we don't have the answer to that one. I've asked Becky that. I don't know why they never asked Brian that. Why are they asking permission to come in?
Like a vampire.
Right. And second and foremost, what happens if you do? I've never heard of any cases of anybody letting them in.
I did once, but it was like this really weird story that probably wasn't true.
It was kind of like one of your late night vampire movies. I don't think that counts. So, anyway, some great stories tonight. I think some spooky stories. It's one of those phenomenons that's. I still think it's in its very early stages, although it's 25 years old, and I think it originates even earlier than that. I think the more we talk about black-eyed children, the more we talk about these things, the more stories will come forward, and that has to happen. In order for the research, for the collaboration of stories and the phenomenon itself, people have to come forward. More stories got to be told.
Right.
It gives us more information on what this is and why they're here and what do they want in here.
Like I said, more stories is not more evidence. Here's not any evidence.
Here's some great questions. First and foremost, who are they? And
as Angela says, are they vampires?
Yeah. What do they want? Who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? I mean, why are they here? And what happens if we give them what they're asking for? There's so many questions, unanswered questions. There's just not enough evidence. There's just not enough proof. There's not enough documentation. Actually, there's not enough stories to base a good theory on.
Well, if you get on the internet, you can find plenty of stories. You cannot find evidence.
Well, on the internet's not always the best.
You can find maybe somebody documented that, somebody went back and they got, a collaboration, like the guy with the neighbors in France. But, that's still not really any kind of documented. That's just another testimony.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's our show on black-eyed children.
Yep.
I want to talk before we sign off. I want to talk about a couple of things. It's been a really busy week in the paranormal community here in Northwest Ohio. There's a couple of things that went on that I couldn't attend that I wish I could have, but there's just no time. And I want to say hi to. I want to take a second to say hi to Joe and Jen from 222 Paranormal. Joe and Jen are down in Orlando, Florida this week. Joe says,
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. Well, he says he's attending the Podfest, the Multimedia Expo. We both know better than that. From everything I see on Facebook, I see one picture of an expo and 22 pictures of Joe or Jen's feet in the sand. They were at this club or that club. So, Joe, if you think you can write this off on your taxes, that you went down to a Podfest expo, we don't believe that for a moment. That's an excuse for you to be down in Orlando, Florida. You guys get back safe. I want to say hi to you guys, okay? So I know that you're not really busy this week. But anyways, they are. They're obviously done their own business. I want to say hi to Arizona Tramp. Great show last Wednesday, Tramp. I thought at first your show was going to be canceled, but then you rebounded, come right back, and you came back with a good show. And I wasn't able to watch it or listen to it Wednesday, but I've been able to pick up bits and pieces of it since. So Tramp always has a great show. For anybody that's been out and about, I don't know anybody right offhand that attended the Paranormal Underground last night at the Collingwood Arts Center. Jason Arthur from Lake Erie Paranormal hosts this thing along with I think Lexi's involved. You know Lexi from the Collingwood Arts Center. Apparently, it was a huge success.
Good, good.
I think they're going to be doing more of them. Unfortunately, you and I couldn't make it last night. We had grandchildren all day, and we're getting older now.
And I slept 12 hours.
Sure, you've been under the weather. So, Jason, we apologize for not attending your event. We sure will again in the future, but I've heard nothing but great things about it. So, Collingwood's Arts Center has been busy. Jason's obviously been busy. Joe and Jen are very busy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a couple other things coming up. Going back to school and a field trip. I talked to Don briefly from Fringe Paranormal. You remember this past summer, you and I think Butch, I think Dana Carmen went with us.
To the school.
Right, they have the haunted Old Main Street School down in
Oh my
Bowling
gosh,
Green.
what a cool building.
Yeah, that they're looking over. I remember the first thing I said to Don was, "Are you crazy to take on this endeavor for the
Huge
restoration?"
project.
Oh my God!
It's an amazing building
It's
now
a
in
wonderful
remarkable
building.
shape.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. They took custodianship last summer. Well, they're offering haunted tours and private investigations at their location. And I'm going to give you this. You can go to the Haunted South Main Street School on Facebook and find them, or you can find anything you want to know about it at Fringe Paranormal on Facebook.
It's not one of those big block schools.
Right.
It's one of the older, the more historical looking buildings.
Well, guess what?
Really a cool building.
Guess what? I haven't even told you this yet. I was holding this for tonight because you know how excited I was with Chad and Heather and the Toledo Yacht Club that Chad and Heather have pulled this off for us again. These great paranormal people in our community are making us look like heroes. I mean, who are we to instruct a class at Owen's community? I mean, that's great enough. But to be able to bring our class to the legendary haunted Toledo Yacht Club, well, guess what? Ghost Hunting 102 in April. Don and Kelly has worked it out to where we can bring our Ghost Hunting 102 field trip to the haunted Main Street School in Bowling Green.
Wow!
What a great opportunity! Yeah. And Chad and Heather's going to be on our show here in February.
That's a big building to cover too.
It's going to be. I'm really excited. So thank you, Don Kelly, for this great opportunity for a class.
This is a lucky class.
It's going to be good. So look how blessed we are. You know, Chad and Heather, and Don and Kelly to get involved in our classes, and two great field trips coming up.
Right.
You know, I want to give back to both of them. You know, look up their Facebook pages. Find out what they got going on. Like I said, the sponsorship for Chad and Heather and what they're doing over the Midwest Bear Fest is going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun. I hope I'm not working.
Well, I haven't looked that far ahead, but I hope we can attend it. But and then to be able to bounce right back in our second class and go down to the haunted Old Main Street School in Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that.
So there's been a lot of stuff going on. I think Don and Kelly are about to hold another private investigation pretty soon. To me, I'm older. I think it's a little bit cold down there, but the building's sure worth investigating. When we were younger, we would do things, you know, right in the dead of winter.
Right.
So I got a horse and coffee. So a couple other things. So I want to talk about something big else going on besides all the other stuff. We have Ghost Hunting with the Pros returning in April. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You got somebody wants to ask something?
Just people are excited about the field trip, and
I'm tickled.
I know, awesome.
I mean, I'm so tickled.
Great place.
Listen, for all you Ghost Hunting 101 people, to be able to have the opportunity to go to the Toledo Yacht Club and do an investigation with Chad and Heather and his group.
Right there, that's totally worth your time.
That's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, that's a great place to go.
I'm going to come in once you're done with your thing in class. I'll play a short video clip from Ghost Hunters that Toledo Yacht Club made Ghost Hunters. And when we bounce back in April to be able to go to the old haunted Main Street School, I think, you know, maybe that's the night that we'll be able to capture enough evidence to put kind of like a Ghost Hunter show together ourselves. Maybe we can go down there with Don.
Maybe I don't really want to be involved in that.
maybe we can find something huge and groundbreaking there. So
that would be cool.
I don't want to keep dwelling on it, but I want you to check out Erie Shores Paranormal, what they got going on. I some way we'll find a way to give back to them. And then once you're done, if you're on Facebook,
they got quite a bit of evidence.
Absolutely,
it's definitely worth investigating.
Well, when you're all done with that, go switch gears on Facebook and go down to the haunted South Main Street School and find out what Don and Kelly are doing. They got some phenomenal things going on, and I like what the Collingwoods Art Center did. Then I think I like what Jason's doing down there, and I've always liked Lexi, you know that. So anyways, we're gonna get ready to hold up. We've been on way too long again. Listen, next Saturday we're on the road. We're gonna be in Ada, Ohio.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we've been invited again to do. This is part of our lecture and presentation tour that we do.
It's on the 24th.
Excuse me again. This must be paranormal.
Not next week.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Saturday the 24th. We're going to be in Ada in the library. The director down there said he's going to have a packed room waiting for us. That everybody's looking forward to seeing us and meeting us. A couple of them.
It'll be fun.
Apparently, a couple of them have attended other lectures that we've done in the nearby community. I think in Kent or something like that. But word of mouth, they said we were the ones they wanted. So I'm really excited about that. And what I wanted to try to say, and I lost my train of thought. Go Sunning with the Pros is coming back in April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to take just 10 seconds and we'll sign off. Go Sunning with the Pros is something that Michelle put together several years ago. We're going to do it again in April. It's an undisclosed location as of right now. We have the location set. I just don't want to give it away quite yet. I don't want everybody that if we post on Facebook, I don't want everybody and their brother doing drive-bys and knocking on the door and saying this building and blah, blah, blah. But it is set in stone. It's going to be on a Saturday late in April. It's going to be free of charge and we're going to hand select somehow. You and Michelle will do this. 16 investigators. You don't have to have any paranormal investigation experience whatsoever. We're going to have an investigation that evening. The only thing that I am going to
I know that we're going to hand select people. Maybe just first.
Well, I'm not sure how you're going to do it, but once we give us another week or two, we'll get it all submitted down, and then we'll open it up for people to sign up for it. I put it on the Facebook today. People that are interested can email us at our email address. More importantly, the only thing that you must do to be involved in this is for 60 minutes, 1 hour prior to the investigation, we are going to hold a small class, an instructional class, the do's and don'ts, safety protocols, and things of that nature. So in order to do this investigation with Go Sunning with the Pros, and you guys have done this on several occasions, that's the only thing that I'm asking. That's the only thing you must give. And if you're that interested in jumping in an investigation with a paranormal group that's been around for quite a while, and do it in a safe manner, this is the beauty thing to do. I mean,
well, not just a safe manner, but you want to be able to get some evidence.
Right.
You want to.
Right. With all said and done, with all these things going on, you have made me sit down and work on the book a little bit. It's like drudging through the mud with me, and you know the book should have been out by now. And I apologize. We have a post, Ghost of Gloucester out there, and the hits are off the chart. I've never seen something get so many hits and so many views. It's like up to 16,000 or something. All these people are waiting for these stories in this book to come out. And, Becky and I have talked over and over again this week. I've had my concerns. I've had my doubts. I write a story and then I rewrite a story. And Becky says, I'm working way too hard to be myself and just tell my story. And I think I'm going to begin to do that. And maybe we could speed the process up. Ghost Talk Paranormal Ohio, I hope, will be out and ready this August or September, right before the witching season comes, and we can, in all of our presentations, we'll be able to have some book signings. So,
well, in your defense, I mean, you work and you teach and you investigate.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out some time management here to get
I need more time. Yeah, I feel so passionate about these things, and I spoke to a friend of mine earlier that was over helping me do some work here in the house, and he looked me right in the eyes and he said, "You're a storyteller. It's what you are. It's what you do, and you tell a story. It's great." Well, then you would think that you would think I'd have had 10 books done by now. I mean, if that's the truth. But I keep critiquing, and I'm funny that way. It's never good enough for me. I want more. I want a bigger angle. But I should maybe just relax and tell my story. So,
yeah,
Ghost of Gloucester is done. We've got several stories done now. We've sent them off to our editor. They've been finalized. They're finished. They're ready to go. And I need to work on another story. Matter of fact, when Ghost Talk is over right now, I need to call one of our our past clients to do an interview to get some more. So I'm working on our next story, believe it or not, and I hope that process goes through. So a lot of big things going on. You can see how busy the paranormal community is going with the Toledo Yacht Club, the Collingwoods Art Center, and the old Haunted Main Street School. Everybody's busy except for Joe and Jen, who are down in Florida, using the Podfest Expo as an excuse to play in the sand. So cheers, Joe and Jen.
Hey.
Drive home safe.
And hey, Cindy Briscoe, come and see us in Ada then. She's right down the road from her.
Yeah, tell Cindy to watch our
We'd love
post.
to see you.
Yeah, tell Cindy, I expect to see you that day.
Now you did it.
Cindy's daughter, Adrian, has got her own paranormal group now. They grew up down the street from me out in the Point many years ago. What a great family. Cindy's husband was a good friend of mine, and unfortunately he's passed away.
The girls, and they're
they come over and work on the attic with us. So
yeah.
and I think they do a great they do a great job of what they're doing. The Young Ghost Hunter group, and groups like that are going to be around long after you and I are gone. Long after I'm gone. So hi Cindy, make sure you stop in and see us that day. Okay guys, we're gonna let you off the hook. Come back here next week for Ghost Talk, and we'll see you there. Stay safe and happy hauntings.
Happy hauntings. And we're out.